Hi everyone, my name is Matt Haynes. I'm an audiobook narrator and I'm dedicated to studying different accents and voices. In this video, I'm going to tackle a character voice that occasionally comes up in the books I narrate, the young kid voice. I'll set it to age 5 and we'll go off my voice's baseline, which is the general American accent. What's challenging about this voice is to do it without sounding cartoony, unless that's what you're looking for, and to do it without sounding cutesy or thoughtless. Now that's what I want to avoid, but what exactly are the qualities that separate this voice from a young kid voice? I'll give some specifics about what I'm learning about the sound and approach of the young kid voice, and then I'm going to apply those specifics to song lyrics, my favorite practice technique. Ta-da! This is the Mad Tune, a picture of me with my glasses on. Let me just make sure that it's clear to the video. Okay, there we go. This is to illustrate what I'm seeing, or what I'm feeling when I'm practicing the young kid voice. Where I am feeling it most is in the nasal and upper soft palate resonance. So letting the breath go up there and sort of land there, but we don't want it to get trapped in there. We just want it to land in there. Now the other thing I'm noticing is that my corners of my mouth are a little bit pinched in, not muscularly, but they just are relaxed there. There isn't as much elasticity as when adult Matt is articulating things. I think of it probably as adult Matt has a tongue that is much more versatile, and so when I'm articulating things, it is very easy for me to go wide, wide, wide. However, if my tongue isn't as versatile, then the corners of my mouth are going to remain fairly sloppy. I won't say sloppy because that's a negative word, but they're going to remain fairly relaxed. They're not going to be working to make room for the otherwise very articulate sound. And let's talk about articulation now. Generally, the mouth is going to want to look for shortcuts with words that are at least 3 syllables or more, and also have those tricky consonant clusters. The mouth's going to want to smear those over. Disappeared can become disappeared. Seneca becomes senka. Cuyahoga becomes koga. We run into the possibility of a lisp, either with the S sound or the R sound, or both. Now, we don't want to get too cute with this. We don't want Susie sells seashells on the seashore, but a softening can help. Susie sells seashells on the seashore. Now we go into 2 areas that run counter to my habits these days, one involving a dropping, one involving a rising. I like to finish my sentences strong, so we could call that a rise. Many young children will drop the ends. Secondly, I tend to start a thought maybe looking at the other person. I tend to have a very introverted, just talking and getting my thoughts out. But sometimes I'll start by talking with the person. But very quickly, I'll go off in my thoughts and follow the thought, follow the thought, follow the thought, maybe to a strong vocal end. But then I'll also keep my eyes away from the person and have the thought still being checked. Now, what a young kid will sometimes do is start with the eye contact and then get into there as they're trying to express themselves and coming up with the end of the sentence. But when they finally end the sentence, they'll snap right back into the eye contact. Okay, so now we go to 2 specific ways a young kid might stall as they figure out how to say what they're thinking. One is repetition of a word. Getting to the concluding thought can sometimes involve the repetition of a word until they find the conclusion. Now the second is pausing, but unlike the way I would pause holding my breath to find the conclusion of my sentence, a young child will often fill that pause with a shallow in-breath, out-breath, in-breath before they find their way to the conclusion. Now we go to the most, for me, challenging part of the young kid voice, the motivation and the psychology. Now, fortunately for me, my authors will almost always describe the emotion in the kid's voice, so it's easy for me to know when to lean into that. With the song that we're doing, I have to make it up. I have to find those points. a young kid still has enormous emotional spontaneity. So how and why do those emotions come up, and what's the follow through, or what takes them back on course? With this song, what I'm going to play with is a kid making unpleasant discoveries as the changes are apparent in their hometown. I'm going to frame it as grasping for the familiar, then thrashing for stability, and then either shoving away the reality with tears or pounding against it with a tantrum. Okay, everyone, it is song time. It's where we practice these elements to the lyrics of a song that came out when I was 5 years old. My City Was Gone by the Pretenders. I went back to Ohio, but my city was gone. There was no train station. There was no downtown. All of South Howard had disappeared. All my favorite places had been pulled down, reduced to parking spaces. I went back to Ohio, but my family was gone. I stood on the back porch, but there was nobody home. I was stunned, amazed. All my childhood memories slowly swirled past like the wind through the trees. I'm back to Ohio, but my pretty countryside had been paved down the middle by a government that had no pride. The farms of Ohio had been replaced by shopping malls. Music filled the air from Seneca to Cuyahoga Falls. It said, "Ayo, way to go, Ohio." And that was My City Was Gone by the Pretenders. Music by Kevin MacLeod, who gives this stuff out royalty-free, public domain. Thank you so much, Kevin. So, my kid voice. Uncanny, right? Probably not quite. But let's have this be the beginning of gathering more information. If you have specific insights into the sound, psychology, and even physics of the young kid voice, put those in the comments. And I will see you next time.